So today, or maybe a couple of weeks ago, Leica Geosystems announced that they're releasing their BLK system as a drone, and also as utilizing the Spot robot network. Maybe is a good way to explain it. But the exciting part about this is that the Leica BLK to fly is a LiDAR unit with multiple cameras on it. So to me, this is pretty exciting. It's sort of going into the space of autonomy, and something, I guess, where maybe we can sort of see a Skydio or someone else like that playing in this space as well. So it's obviously an area that most drone industries are going to push. And it's really interesting to see that Leica have released this pretty quickly, in my eyes, from the BLK to Go, which was just their handheld LiDAR unit. And now they're using it as a more modular system in a way. So I guess I'll get you guys' thoughts on what you're seeing now.
Is it an autonomous drone?
It's got an autonomous section, so you can create flight paths like you usually would with like mapping and things like that. But from my research, they're really pushing the facade autonomy inspection from a LiDAR perspective. It will also collect imagery as well, but the cameras on it, from what I see, are not amazing. So they're probably there for more a basic still image, but also to colorize the point cloud.
It's really interesting that with Leica that they don't have an extremely nice camera on it. That's actually surprising to me.
Yeah, you never know. They've got I actually can't remember what size sensors are on there. Let's see if I can find them. But I wouldn't be surprised if they are still quite high resolution small cameras. But in my eyes, I don't know if you'd be able to be confident enough to have inspection images from it.
Okay.
Do you know what the so you said there's more than one camera, Brendan?
Yeah, so let me try and get a still. So you can see the LiDAR unit in the middle, kind of the head of the drone, maybe we can describe it. But then you've also got these propeller guards. And on each corner of these propeller guards, you've got a sensor, a camera sensor. So it does provide like a full 360 real-time view. So if from the screen or your remote control, you've got a full 360 image from my understanding. So up, down, all the way around. So you can sort of move the screen around or your view while you're operating the drone, and you're not just looking straight forward, down, or up. So it's kind of giving you an immersive sort of feel to it.
And
Very cool.
answer this for me. Is this the first of its kind? It sounds like it is.
I think it is. So the only other thing that's as close to this would be putting a LiDAR unit on a drone as a third-party bit of equipment.
And they're nowhere close to this size, are they?
No way. So, the likes of your hover maps, or something like, you can go to your Regals or something. They're not there. Well, hover map is, but the Regals and your Green Valleys, and even the DJI L1s aren't there for autonomous perspective. It's there for just purely capturing point cloud information, whereas this is aiding in both, like the Emerson. So or the hover map, sorry. But yeah, I reckon for the size of the drone and for what it is, I think this is the first within the market.
Be interesting to see what the price is too for that size of drone.
Yeah, being Leica, I expect there's a nice big dirty price tag.
Well, their LiDAR unit on its own. So you can buy the LiDAR unit as a handheld SLAM unit to walk around with. That's $95,000 on its own.
Can we just repeat that again? I nearly fell off my chair.
Yeah. So the LiDAR unit of that, which, I think from memory, it's only got about a 30-meter range with good reflectivity from it. So it's a very expensive bit of equipment. Most LiDAR units are, but but again, you can't, this is purely just for drone perspective. It's not like you can take a BLK to go and slot it into position onto the drone and then fly it. This is all integrated into one unit.
So I imagine the quality of the models and stuff that it would pull would be pretty up there, but do you reckon the visual quality would be there? So like how we were saying, like asset inspection, things like that, would you think you'd have the quality to pull up to do it properly, you know, to essentially see all the nooks and crannies of something that you were doing?
That's a great question. So I don't know. I think you would have to get your hands on it. But you know, with the space with SLAM technology and LiDAR where it is at the moment, from what I understand, the Leica to go, so the LiDAR unit is good, but it's not amazing. It's a little bit noisy as well. So noisy is like the how do you explain it? So the resolution of the points in the point cloud are blurry, maybe is a good way to describe it, which reduces the accuracy within that point cloud. So when you compare it to someone like a Regal, which is probably the Rolls Royce of all LiDAR units in the world, you're going from a 30 mil accuracy on something like this to verting to a Regal, which could get you down to about 5 mil. So there's a big difference. But the use cases are different and the price tag's different. So this is still up there.
What are their use cases? I can see there they've obviously got a bunch of use cases they've got up there in the tab. It'd be interesting to see what they perceive their use cases to be.
Well, look at that construction.
Look at that.
Doubt it.
Construction's a good use case.
Oh God, I asked to build once. Do you guys?
Well, again, I mean, I think the megapixel of the camera, let's discuss this with other drone products. If it's got the ability to get, you know, super close and all the rest of it, particularly on the autonomy side of things, then that sort of helps with the not as good camera. But you know, obviously it's something you need to see in the flesh, I think, to get a better idea. But the fact that they mention it for construction and things like that, like they obviously are confident that it can do its job.
For sure. And I think so for the listeners as well, I'll just read out the use cases that they're putting forward for the new drone. So we've got construction as their first one. Then they've got BIM, which is a building information model, which you create in multiple different ways, but you can create it from a point cloud data set, which is what it's collecting. Then the other use case is architecture and general UAV mapping. So kind of like what you would expect most drones to be able to do either way. All the use cases are there, but there's limitations to it, I think, as well, which is what we got to unpack. So
is that the price?
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at. That'd be US.
Euros, actually.
Euros and US. There you go. So it starts at 46,000 euros or 56,000 US.
So what's that in Australian dollars? Probably 65, give or take.
A lot.
Yeah, about 80 to 90, isn't it? Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Yeah. So probably there you go. The same. Probably would be close to the same price as the BLK to go, the handheld unit that they've got. So
massive. Hey, Brandon, you mentioned SLAM technology or something before. Can you explain what that is?
That's a great question. Let's unpack that. So SLAM technology is when, I don't even actually remember what it stands for, but basically it's a LiDAR unit that's mobile. And you're basically, the way I describe it is there's a computer system on the unit, and it's in real time mapping the environment you're in from a point cloud perspective. So it's throwing out thousands of laser points, and whatever laser point hits an object, it will reflect back into that sensor or LiDAR sensor, and it will place that point in a 3D space. So to give you an understanding of what
That's cool.
that means, is that if it's a 3D space, like a bookshelf, for example, and I'm waving my LiDAR unit over it, it will get the depth of that shelf, it will get the face of the shelf, it will get the side of the shelf, it will get everything. So some LiDAR units throw out, you know, a million points a second, and it creates a really dense, really accurate point cloud, and some only throw out about 40,000 points a second. So, you know, only, but when SLAM comes into it, it's the mobility of LiDAR. So grabbing a LiDAR unit or putting it on a drone and flying it. And as that drone is flying, the laser points are hitting the ground, reflecting back up, and it's real time putting that point in space for you to then be able to post-process and create a 3D model from, essentially.
Awesome.
So for those playing at home, the AU dollar, that would be $77,108.47.
There you go. Wow. Probably
It's
put a
pocket
couple,
change.
put a couple of
Should we put
thousand
a
more on top of that.
order in right now?
Pre-order right now. First units to ship on the 28th of October.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it's interesting.
if there's a unit in Australia they want to test, bring it on. We'll love to
Yeah,
see it.
yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Well, I'm sure we all like to see that in action.
Definitely.
Exactly. Yeah, so I guess the other aspect of this, of the BLK to fly, there's also the BLK arc. So, which is their Spot the
That's
robot solution.
RoboDog.
Yeah, so
Awesome.
in the world of drones and not just UAVs, we obviously cover areas of robotics as well. So again, for those who are just listening, if you don't know what Spot the Robot dog is, it's Boston Dynamics four-legged
It's
robot.
robots. They're going to kill us all in the future.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
If you watch Black Mirror, it's on an episode of Black Mirror as well.
It is on an episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
exactly it. But yeah, so it's basically a four-legged robot that you put the LiDAR unit onto. And the use cases for this is probably more from a integrating autonomous side of data collection for point clouds. So building an infrastructure. What else are they saying? Undergrounds, so tunnels, train tunnels, things like that. Industrial and plant, utilities, and that's it. So
Realistically,
And that's actually cheaper, isn't it?
yeah, so that's just the LiDAR unit. Keep that in
Because it
mind.
doesn't fly.
Okay,
So
that's not the robot as well.
that's not the robot as well. So you've got
Okay.
38,000 euros and 46,000 US dollars.
plus
so-
one on top of that, which is
Plus-
how much is
So
Spot-
just shy of 65 grand. for
Yeah,
just
so I
the
think
unit.
then you double that tie. So I'm pretty certain Spot the Robot's about 75K. I don't know if that's US either. I'm not 100% sure. But
I'd like just the robot to play with.
But I think if you
70,500 for Spot. That's
if you-
US dollars.
if it's
Design a
like
puppy.
if it's an area that's sort of underground with gas and mines and you know the risks, obviously clearly we know there's value in it, but
Yeah, for sure.
But 70 grand is just saved countless human lives in one go.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Like we
96,000
said,
Australian, don't
But
it?
look how cool he's walking down the steps. No, you wouldn't be able to do that, Danny.
You wouldn't be able to do
Not
that.
after a few drinks, no.
No.
Not that smooth.
That's really, really cool though. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't aware that Boston Dynamics was using them in other applications and with other companies. I thought, as far as I knew, with the dogs that they were creating, that they were more or less on research and particularly a military base. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. The thing that I guess kind of gets me is from your guys' perspective, like, do you see, what other value do you see in a system like this from, I guess, our industry that we're kind of experiencing? Do you see everyone sort of moving to this space really quickly, or is this going to be another sort of bashing our heads against the brick wall to try and figure out what people are going to do.
I'd say
trying to sell it to people, sell the actual concept of safety and everything of it is 100% bashing my head on the wall behind me. Because say just then off the bat, we're already looking over 100 grand just for the unit itself. That's not including training, working out what they can do, what the software you need behind it. Like 100% is amazing technology and will revolutionize inspections and safety aspects. But getting to that point,
I don't think as much as we can see all the use cases and we know how good all LiDAR and everything is, but even just on this system alone, like you said, Danny, when you're spending, well over 100 grand to get the unit and the robot to do everything, to convince people that, because obviously the price tag for the work wouldn't be, you're not doing that for a couple of $100. Like, that's a big money job. To convince people that it's worth spending the money, as much as we know it is, that's a hard task.
But for major infrastructure projects, probably like what's happening there on our screen, where where it's walking through a tunnel, if it's obviously scheduled and it does it nightly and so progress,
do it autonomously. No one needs to be there.
You don't us doing that every night or something. It's just not going to be worth it. No one wants to do it.
You don't have to pay it after hours rates either. Like, there's no overtime.
He's not, the robot's not putting in extra hours. You're right.
Can you imagine, say, like a mine site or an underground mine, there's a catastrophe of some sort, send this in and have a real time view of essentially what is in there with no one having to go inside.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of those mine rescues and mine collapses and things like that, where there's potentially access, but end of the day, it's unsafe for a person to go down there to get these people out because of gas and everything else. There's your answer. I mean, it doesn't even need to, even if you take the LiDAR away for a second, you literally just have cameras based on them. That's huge. Like, even
I know I've seen it all over YouTube at some point. You can put the gas detection units on it as well on spot. Send that down through the mine. If you really want, put your coffee, send it to the cafe down the road, put your coffee on top of it. Because your coffee delivery is covered as well.
Talk about Scott the dog deliveries.
There's no doubt the mines will, if not already, they've already adopted this tech.
I think like you said, Danny, the search and rescue side of things, but also from like major infrastructure documentation as well, is that most of the time, most workers don't like anything to do with cameras while they're at work, whether it's a drone or a time lapse or whatever. People hate it and people will rip it down or, do stupid things to it. I think, the site can close. This can have a timer at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night. It boots up, does its automated walk, captures all the data from the day that changes over time, returns back to its station, recharges for the next night, and then it's done. It's pretty cool to think about where this space is moving to. It's just more whether the industries are going to adopt it quickly or not.
Do you think they're going to have to put little logos on the side of it saying don't pat the puppy or anything?
They might.
Probably.
You never know. It'd be funny though.
Humans can't have nice things, Danny. You should know this by now.
For this exact reason. Don't touch spot.
I love it if you pick it up, what it does.
If I pick up my cat the wrong way, she bunny kicks me, I think this thing would probably hurt a lot more.
I think I'd be a bit worried to try and take it or move it because of all the sensors on it. Everything's documented, so your face is going to be recognized. Everyone knows where it is. It's probably got some form of tracking on it. So,
and I'm pretty sure they have their own stability systems too. So I think I remember seeing something on it when they were doing the early testing, and they were like essentially kicking it over and then see if it can get back up and do its thing. And it's quite amazing what it can do. A little bit scary as well.
Was that Boston Dynamics or Boss Town Dynamics that Corridor Digital did? So Boss Town Dynamics, for the listeners, was Corridor Digital is a virtual effects company in the States, and they made a parody of Boston Dynamics using virtual effects and managed to kick the dog around, kick the person around.
That's right.
Robot. And the video had, I don't know how many millions of views, but a lot of people actually mistook it, whatever it is, mistake it for the real video because it was that good.
Yeah, pretty cool. All right, so that's the news. I think that's pretty exciting from our space, seeing where the robotics is coming into, the autonomy, and maybe in a couple of episodes or whatever, we can talk about Emerson as well and that sort of unit. But that's why I love this industry, is the new technology that comes out. It gives us an excuse to talk about it.